Imagine waking up one morning to find yourself transformed into a giant insect. No explanation, no warning, just poof, you're a bug. Today, we're diving into the mind of Franz Kafka, the literary genius who turned nightmares into art and changed how we see the world. We'll explore why his work still haunts us today and how he predicted our modern bureaucratic nightmares.
And what's fascinating is that Kafka himself never lived to see his impact. He died relatively unknown in 1924 at just 40 years old of tuberculosis. Most of his work wasn't even published during his lifetime.
Wait, really? So how did his work survive?
Well, that's actually one of the most incredible parts of the story. Kafka had asked his friend Max Brod to destroy all his unpublished works after his death. But Brod completely ignored that request and published them instead.
Thank goodness for disobedient friends, right?
Absolutely. And Kafka was born in Prague in 1883 into a middle-class German-speaking Jewish family. But what's really interesting is how much his early life shaped his writing.
How so?
Well, during his first 6 years, his family moved 5 times. He never had the chance to settle into a neighborhood or develop that sense of belonging.
That must have been pretty destabilizing for a young child.
Exactly. And he spent most of his childhood in solitude, surrounded by Czech-speaking staff, a governess, a cook, and a maid. His parents were always busy with their shop.
And his relationship with his father was particularly complicated, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. His father was this overwhelming, authoritarian figure who ruled the household. He was both admired and feared by Kafka, and this dynamic shows up in many of his works.
You can really see that influence in his writing, especially in The Trial, right?
Yes, The Trial is this perfect example of Kafka's genius. It starts with one of the most famous opening lines in literature. Someone must have been telling lies about Joseph K., for without having done anything wrong, he was arrested one fine morning.
That's such a chilling opening.
And what makes it even more powerful is that we never learn what crime K is accused of. The whole novel follows him trying to defend himself against this inaccessible court system.
You know what's wild? How relevant that feels today.
It's incredible, isn't it? The term Kafkaesque has become part of our everyday language. People use it to describe everything from dealing with insurance companies to navigating government bureaucracy.
Speaking of Kafkaesque, let's talk about the metamorphosis. I mean, turning into a giant bug, where did that come from?
The metamorphosis is fascinating because it's not really about the transformation itself. It's about how people react to it, especially Gregor's family.
What do you mean?
Well, they initially try to care for him, but quickly grow resentful. They start seeing him as nothing but a burden, eventually just locking him in his room and neglecting him.
That's pretty dark.
But you know what's interesting? Despite all this darkness, Kafka's work often incorporated comedic elements. There's this dark humor running through everything he wrote.
Really? I wouldn't have expected that.
Oh, yes. His works are filled with these absurd situations that are both terrifying and darkly funny. It's part of what makes his writing so unique.
Here's something I found fascinating. Kafka actually hated the letter K.
Yes. He wrote in his diary that he found the letter K offensive, almost disgusting, yet he still used it constantly in his work.
That's kind of ironic, considering how many of his characters are just called K.
And now his name has become this powerful adjective, Kafkaesque. It's almost like the letter K got its revenge.
Let's talk about his influence on modern literature. How did someone who died relatively unknown become such a massive figure?
Well, his work really captured something essential about modern life. This feeling of being trapped in systems we can't understand or control.
And that feeling has only gotten stronger, hasn't it?
Exactly. His work was almost prophetic. He captured the anxiety of dealing with vast, impersonal institutions before they became as prevalent as they are today.
It's pretty incredible how he saw it coming.
And his influence goes way beyond literature. He's influenced artists, philosophers, composers, filmmakers, even religious scholars.
Religious scholars? How so?
His work often deals with themes of judgment, guilt, and redemption. There's this spiritual dimension to his writing that really resonates with religious thinkers.
You know what's amazing? The ratio of words written about Kafka compared to words written by him.
Oh yes, it's staggering. There's an estimate that the ratio has reached 1 to 10 million, meaning for every word Kafka wrote, 10 million words have been written about him.
That's absolutely mind-blowing.
And what's fascinating is how his work keeps finding new relevance. Each generation seems to discover new meanings in his stories.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's because he tapped into something fundamental about the human experience. This feeling of being lost in a world that doesn't make sense.
And that feeling just keeps getting more relevant, doesn't it?
Absolutely. In our age of endless automated phone systems and online forms, Kafka's vision feels more prophetic than ever.
Let's talk about his writing process. Did he have any particular habits or methods?
Well, he actually worked as an insurance officer during the day. Writing was something he did late at night.
So he was living in both worlds, the bureaucratic day job and the creative nightlife.
Yes, and that tension really shows up in his work. He understood bureaucracy from the inside.
That explains a lot about his writing.
And you know what's interesting? He never finished many of his works. The Trial and The Castle were both published incomplete.
Maybe that's fitting. These endless, unresolvable situations just stay unresolved.
Exactly. The lack of resolution becomes part of the point.
Do you think Kafka would be surprised by his influence today?
I think he'd be absolutely astonished. Remember, he wanted all his work destroyed after his death.
That's kind of Kafkaesque in itself, his wishes being completely ignored, leading to this massive unintended consequence.
It really is. His life itself became a Kafka story.
As we wrap up, what do you think is the most important thing for people to understand about Kafka?
I think it's that he wasn't just writing about darkness and despair. He was writing about the human experience of trying to find meaning in an absurd world.
And that's something we're all still trying to do.
Exactly. His work isn't just about bureaucracy or alienation. It's about what it means to be human in a world that often seems inhuman.
Well, that brings us to the end of You're Stuck in an Endless Phone Tree or filling out form after form. Remember, you're not alone. You're just living in Kafka's world.